good afternoon or good evening, depending on where you are. And thank you for coming. This is quite a momentous occasion for Montessori Services and Parent-Child Press. We've never done anything like this before. And it was supposed to happen at the AMS conference, but we all know what happened there. So I was also part of the team that helped bring Montessori inclusion, which maybe you all have seen or not, but there's a copy. I participated, I was part of the team, and it was a wonderful experience, very gratifying. And I think this book is going to be valuable to a lot of people. And I want to thank Anne and Joe particularly for putting this all together. So seamlessly, I guess, it seems. So I had to call my other son though to figure out how to get on. So wherever Donna is, I'm in the same category. So anyways, there are a lot of contributors and authors here who want to say a few words, and I won't take up any more of your time, but thank you for coming. It's a pleasure too.
We had a few really special testimonial contributors, and Joyce is one of them. She's been, you know, working with children with learning differences for a long time. And before I give the floor to Joyce, I do want to mention that we have a great deal. We are bundling the Montessori inclusion book that we're launching today with Joyce's book, and you can get the two together for a little less than you would pay for both of them if you bought them separately. So Joyce, can you say a few words?
Thank you, Joe. I think, as most of you know, Joe's being kind, saying a long time. I've been working with children with speech, language, and learning differences for 60 years. And so it's obvious that when you work that long, you're very dedicated and maybe driven is the right word, but very rewarded in working with these children. So for the publishing company, Parent and Child Press, to publish two books that recognize the talents of children with these differences, as well as their challenges, and to help us get the message out of how in a Montessori classroom, these children can be served the best. And they can be served the best in a Montessori classroom in my mind. So as I had a preview of some of the work in the book that Ann Epstein and other authors have written, I felt that it was a beautifully written book and an important contribution to the Montessori community. Each chapter provides comprehensive information on exceptionalities and how to use the Montessori method specifically for unique learners. You have to understand why they are having the difficulties they're having in order to analyze and meet their developmental needs. The studies and the description of the procedures in preschool are particularly helpful, I think, in this wonderful book. The student stories are examples of varying exceptionalities and the effectiveness of Montessori strategies that enrich this text and enlighten the reader. So I can't say how grateful I am to you, Anne, for your work, all of your work. It was a joy to work with you on the AMS Montessori inclusion endorsement, as well as some of the other people that are on our call tonight. And it's always been a joy to know you and work with you. And your book is very special and very needed. And I want to give a very special thank you to Joe and Jane for combining these and giving a reduced price to people so that they can afford to have both of these works, which I think complement each other very nicely. Thank you to everybody.
Thank you, Joyce, and I really appreciate that. And we at Montessori Services and Parent-Child Press, we want to bring resources to the community, and we're also thrilled that we've got these 2 books, and in my opinion, we could have a few more. So and I know there's a few people out there with book ideas, but speaking of books, Donna GOERTZ wrote Children Who Are Not Yet Peaceful, and I think that was really a resource for probably a lot of people here. It was one of the first books that was about Montessori and children who maybe didn't fit the mold and how to accommodate them. And it's a book that really helped me tremendously. I read that about 5 years ago, actually. And I said, why haven't I read this first? So I am so glad to welcome Donna, and she can say a couple words, and then I'm gonna hand it over to Anne. But Donna, you have to unmute yourself. So there's a little button on your phone, and it.
Did that do it?
Yes.
Ah, yay me. Can you tell by the way I speak that I spent like decades working with 6 to 9-year-olds? I'm always so proud of myself. So anyway, if you didn't want a 6 to 9-year-old on, you shouldn't have invited me. What I'd like to say is that it just gladdens my heart so much to be in this company and to see this book come out. Joe's been talking to me about it for so long, and I was waiting to see, well, I didn't know if those things actually happen or not. It's really difficult to bring a book out. And he and his mom and the publishing company and all the authors were pulled together, and the editor, and I just, when it finally happened, I was so amazed. I think it's so much easier just to write a book and then nobody's in on it but you, but to pull together all these resources, I'm just so gladdened. And we needed something so glad and happy right now, didn't we? I think meeting children's needs, this is what it's all about. It doesn't matter which child it is. No child should be left out. Meeting children's needs is quintessentially Montessori. And that means all children's needs, every single one. So I'm humbled and privileged. I don't know many of you. Joe's made sure I know him. I know Joe really well. Over 5 years, we're buddies. But now I'm going to get to know so many others of you, which makes my heart really happy. I'm glad to be counted in this group and included in the book launch. I got to write a testimonial, which I thought was way cool. I offer Montessori's own words right now. I just want to give you my favorite in the whole world quote of Dr. Montessori. And I found it, and when I showed it to John Snyder while he was still living, neither of us had ever seen it, and we thought we really knew the best Montessori quotes. We said, maybe it's not really a Montessori quote then. You know the way it goes sometimes. And so John and I studied it and looked and asked all the Montessorians we knew, and finally someone found it. And let's see if I can read. I'm kind of blind because I'm kind of old. It's in the Montessori method. I don't have the chapter and the page. Sorry about that. We do have it somewhere, but I'm home now. I don't have any more professional assistants or personal assistants, and I really don't know how to do anything by myself. That's the bad thing about having wonderful people helping you all the time, is then when you're in isolation at home, you're totally, I can't use the printer. I can't use my Mac. I can't do anything. So anyway, Montessori could do everything. And in my next life, I'm going to be an independent woman. I offer Montessori's own words. to highlight the meaning and the importance of this work on this very special occasion. I like seeing everybody's faces. It's so nice because it's a little closer than when I go and I speak to, like in France, so like 70 people show up when we thought it was going to be a cozy 25, and then you don't really see anybody's faces. But now this is just, Joe, this is perfect. I'll do this anytime. Now here are her words. I'll shush. Now, child life is not an abstraction. It is the life of individual children. There exists only one real manifestation, the living individual, and towards single individuals, one by one, observed, education must direct itself. Isn't that the most beautiful thing in the world? Has everybody else heard that but me?
It's very beautiful, Donna, and thank you so much for sharing.
Okay, so that's our directive then. And the book tells us how. Thank you, Joe. Thank you,
Absolutely.
everybody.
Thank you so much for being here, and thank you for your testimonial. I am going to introduce Anne next, and we're going to hear from Anne and Natalie and Amira, and I'm super excited about that. I do have one announcement. I'm not sure if I made that earlier, but earlier on in the development of this book, we all kind of discussed how would we pay a royalty to, there's about 18 contributors on the book, and Anne decided that she would try to donate the royalties to towards supporting special education and professional development. So
just a quick comment. It was actually Natalie's original idea. So I want to be sure that that we all know that this terrific idea originated from Natalie.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Anne.
And without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to you, Anne. And again, just thank everyone for being here.
All right, I'm sorry, Joe. I didn't mean to cut you off. I just wanted to be sure that everybody knew that Natalie came up with this idea. So we are donating any royalties that come in from the book to professional development for Montessori teachers who would like to learn more about working with kids who have a variety of special needs. And we're specifically looking at the scholarship that is being offered by Montessori in the public sector in honor of one of our very special authors, Jackie Cosentino. So we will share more information about that with you as the time comes around. So yeah, just a couple of quick words. First of all, thank you so much to Jane and Joe. They opened their hearts to the idea of this book early on, and I knew that it was going to be in good hands with them from the very first meetings that we had. It was not easy to, as Donna mentioned, to coordinate so many authors and so many chapters, and they did a fantastic job. So thank you very much to both Jane and Joe for persevering with us. I just want to follow up a little bit more with our sincere appreciation of Jackie's work. We were all so sad when she passed away in November, and the book is dedicated to Jackie and her very keen intellect and her joyful spirit and the great work that she did while she was with us to support kids with special needs. So a very sincere thank you to Jackie. I also would like to thank Tim. I see Tim Selden was on at one point, and I think so was Tanya. We're just really thrilled to have leaders from a number of different Montessori organizations. And I'm not sure if Jennifer Schilling has made it, and we were also hoping that Janet might be here too from our AMI colleagues. So once again, thank you to everyone for participating and joining us. So the next thing I would like to do is to introduce you a little bit semi-formally to Natalie Danner. She was the one who had this truly audacious idea to create the book. Natalie is currently with the University of Illinois, Champaign-Urbana, on Illinois' Early Learning Project. And Natalie, thank you again for your amazing foresight in getting the book started.
Hi, everyone. I'm Natalie. And like Anne said, this book was really a dream of mine as I finished my PhD in early childhood special education at the University of Illinois. And after a couple of years of working in higher ed and working on this book and all of the authors working so hard on their chapters, I'm proud to say that with Anne that this Montessori inclusion book is now in print and can work its magic within the Montessori community, both public and independent schools, to help teachers and leaders learn how to better support students with disabilities. And in a truly wonderful twist of events, just this week, like Anne said, I accepted a position at my alma mater, the University of Illinois. So I'm returning to my roots to write some more about inclusion and to work on the Illinois Early Learning Project. I just want to say thank you to all the chapter authors, to Anne, to AMIRA, and to everyone at Parent Child Press for making Montessori inclusion a reality. Thank you.
Thank you, Natalie. I am very honored to introduce our next speaker, and that's AMIRA MOGAJI. I had the pleasure of first meeting AMIRA years ago. She was a student at the Montessori teacher education program in Salt Lake City at Westminster, and she is now the chief academic officer at City Garden Montessori in St. Louis, and she just recently became the president of the board of the American Montessori Society. Thank you for all your work, AMIRA, and welcome.
Thank you, Anne. First, I'd like to express my appreciation actually to you for Anne for her tireless work supporting teachers who are working to provide Montessori spaces that are inclusive for all students. I first met Dr. Epstein. I met Anne when she was my instructor of my inclusion course during my Montessori training. It was so encouraging to see that the teacher education program was very intentional about preparing Montessori teachers to meet the needs of all of the students who were fortunate enough to be in their care. I just like to say, you know, we live in a world that's very often unforgiving and unkind. Many adults and children are marginalized in their day-to-day lives because of who they are, whether they identify as Black, Indigenous, people of color, LGBTQ+, practice a non-Christian religion, or a part of a family of immigrants. It's essential that schools are not only physically safe places for all students, but also that all students feel like they belong. Most importantly, all students have the right to gain full, equitable access to the educational programming, regardless of ability and exceptionalities, and teachers and schools must be prepared to do whatever it takes to reach all students. Our schools and classrooms are comprised of students and families who all have different lived educational experiences. The range of students' identities, intersectionalities, and exceptionalities are present in schools across the country. It's paramount that all students have the opportunities to have full access to the educational programs that their parents trust the educational institutions to provide. I'm sorry, I'm losing my voice. I was so honored to be invited to write the foreword for this very practical resource that can be used as a tool for Montessori educators in a variety of settings. Montessori education offers a method to liberate children. The preparation of the guide, the preparation of the environment, and the use of this resource to support students with exceptionalities will help them to access the educational programs and ensure that all children belong. I thank Joe and Jane and everybody for making sure this book happened. Thank you.
And thank you, Amira. That was beautiful. Thank you so much. I'm not sure if Carey is still on. I hope so. Carey Jones was our amazing copy editor. Her attention to authors' voices, as well as formatting, content, and all the particulars that go into making sure that everything was accurate and well presented, made all the difference. It really did make the book the way that it turned out. Carey, are you still on? Would you like to say hello?
I am.
Wonderful.
Hi.
Good to
I'll
see
keep it really quick because I have kids playing behind me and I don't want to blow everyone's ears out. But it was a joy to work on this book, and it's so fun tonight to see the faces of many of the authors. I realize I only met a few of you in person, so it's really lovely to put names to faces. And I'm thrilled with how it turned out, and always enjoy working with Joe and Jane. So it's a special treat as always. Thanks.
Thanks again, Carey. You were awesome. My last introduction is to a truly amazing individual, and her youth may conceal her many talents. MADIE Sherman was awarded a prestigious position at UWL as what we refer to as an Eagle Apprentice. And then I had the very good fortune of connecting with MADIE in her role as an undergraduate researcher. And she was incredible. She helped our authors with completing their final edits. She actually got into the details of chasing down commas with APA formatting and did a wonderful job with that. So MADIE, if you could tell us just a little bit about yourself, and then MADIE is going to introduce our authors.
Thank you so much, Anne. I just want to take a moment to thank you for including me and inviting me to be a part of this incredible and amazing resource in this book, and for creating such a wonderful experience. I've learned so much and been so inspired. So thank you very much. And also thank you to Joe and Jane and Carey and all the wonderful authors that included me in this process. I'm just really grateful for the opportunity. And it's so fun to see all the authors' faces. It's kind of funny. I was able to email with a few of you as I collected your bio statements, but it's so fun to be able to see your faces and to meet you. I myself was a Montessori kid, am a Montessori kid, and I'm also a hopeful Montessori educator. And so I had so much fun reading through all of your bios and reading through the early stages of the book. I was just so inspired by all of your knowledge and your accomplishments and all of your hard work in schools and with students and in your spheres of influence and with your families. And so thank you for sharing your knowledge with us and for inspiring me and for inspiring many others as well. So now I have the honor and the privilege of introducing some of our wonderful authors to share a little bit with us about Montessori and inclusion, and they'll be able to share for a few minutes. I'll introduce them all individually. So our first author that we get to hear from is ANDREE ROLF. And ANDREE ROLF has a doctorate in education, and she spent 35 years working in public special education as a teacher, learning consultant, and administrator before becoming AMI Elementary Certified in 2013. Currently, she is an educational consultant for AMS and AMI schools. ANDREE believes strongly that Montessori education can serve almost all children in a way that is developmentally healthy. She works to support guides as they expand their capacity to work with more children who present with learning challenges. So take it away, ANDREE.
Okay, we good? All right, hi everyone. It's really exciting to see so many people from across the greater Montessori community together all at one time and all on one small screen. I would like to start by remembering Jackie Cosentino, whose remarkable ability at bringing people together in the service of children is what led to my involvement in Montessori inclusion. As MADIE said, I came to Montessori education after 35 years in public special education. I believe wholeheartedly that with the adaptation of what we can learn from special education, Montessori education offers the way to serve every child in a way that is developmentally healthy. Because Montessori education and special education have shared roots and appear so compatible, we mostly focus on what is similar and not on what is different. However, there are differences between Montessori education and special education in the models, in the imperatives for inclusion, most definitely in the language used, in assessment, and of course in delivery of instruction. So in chapter 2 of Montessori inclusion, I saw my task to bring those differences to light in order to see them clearly and then be able to bridge those differences through collaborative efforts between Montessori educators and special educators. Starting next Tuesday, Ann Epstein and I have the exciting opportunity to use Montessori inclusion as one of our texts as we begin the summer intensive session at the Center for Montessori Education at Loyola University. Over the past weeks, I reread each chapter in quiet moments early in the morning. I tried to take the perspective of a reader and consider how a reader might experience the wisdom shared by over 15 Montessori writers. Beyond the excitement of all the rich and varied content, I found myself drawn in as each author revealed their own truth about Montessori inclusion. I sensed the cohesion that binds Montessorians in a shared purpose, and that is needed in order to make inclusion work child by child and day by day, school by school. Ann and I have already heard from some of our students about how much they enjoy
I think we got almost everything that you said, Andre. We may have lost the last sentence or two, but I think we got almost everything. I heard you begin a sentence with, we've heard from some of our students.
Yeah, that was my last sentence. I'll try it again. Ann and I have already heard from some of our students about how much they enjoy that each author seems to be speaking directly to them and how much they're learning about inclusion in Montessori environments.
Thank you for sharing. All right, our next author we get to hear from is Elizabeth Slade, Master in Fine Arts, and she has been a Montessori educator since 1987, with roles including teacher, mentor, coach, coordinator of teaching and learning, and school leader. She was the founding coach at the National Center for Montessori in the public sector and has worked to support the growth of the method in public schools across the country. She is AMS and AMI credentialed in administrator and elementary respectively, and her daughter Bella has inspired her to think in a broader way about what schools are capable of offering to support all children. Extensive work in the public Montessori schools has only confirmed Elizabeth's understanding that this method, built on observation, is a way to reach all learners and has fueled her deep faith in the ability of people to shift their minds in order to make space for everyone to thrive.
Wonderful, thank you. You're going to have to forgive my cat in the background who has some need that I'm currently not meeting. I'm really grateful to Ann and Joe and everyone involved in putting this book together. I had the great honor and privilege of writing the chapter with Jackie Cosentino on Following All the Children, which is about the child study process, which is a Montessori RTI method for supporting all learners in unique Montessori ways. And we are very honored to be receiving part of the royalties to allow teachers to do child study training. And I saw in the comments, we have just established, and we've done our second time of it now, the online child study training, which it means that people wherever they are can receive this training, and soon to be bringing into publication the child study playbook, which really lays out so that schools can take this with the vision of every public Montessori school investing in a child study process so all learners can be seen in their uniqueness and guided along their way. That's Milo. I'm not sure what his need is, but I guess that will help me to cut my comments to a short close, and just really grateful to be part of such an amazing group of people. Thank you.
Thank you. And yes, I also forgot to mention that Elizabeth is currently working to complete the child study playbook that she started with Jacqueline Cosentino, and has also recently signed a book contract with Wiley to write Montessori in Action, Building Resilient Montessori Schools, which will be coming out a year from August. So that's exciting. Thank you. Our next author is Christine Lowry. And with a Master in Education in Special Education, a Montessori credential, and more than 35 years of experience, Christine has taught students, adolescent, with special needs in a variety of settings. She has founded, directed, and taught in 2 inclusive Montessori schools, and she is currently earning a 2nd degree in early childhood special education and coaching, and is developing the first all-day inclusive Montessori school in Colorado. Christine guides schools and districts in the implementation of the Montessori-based multi-tiered system of supports, and offers consultation and coaching to support all leaders, educators, and families working with diverse learning and behavior needs. She offers online courses to Montessori leaders and teachers, and is a frequent contributor to Montessori Leadership Magazine. And you can find her at Montessori and Special Needs and Montessori Now on Facebook.
Thank you, Maddie. I too am delighted to have been part of this project and to share the multi-tiered system of support, which is really, it's a combination of what we used to have called positive behavior management or support systems, and combined that with RTI. And when the federal law was reauthorized, those 2 were dropped from the law, but MTSS was included. And so it's now in implementation in every state in the United States. It's a fabulous framework, and I was very, very happy to be able to use the framework, but to bridge it to Montessori classrooms. And so I hope that the chapter in the book is one that is a good overview of how a multi-tiered system of support can support every child in the classroom, and that there are some really practical strategies that educators and school leaders can look at. My goal, my dream is that at some point, as inclusive schools become more and more and more the dominant model in the world of education, that we'll get to the point where every child will be considered special. And we'll see that every child has strengths and every child has challenges, and to be able to meet their needs so beautifully using the Montessori pedagogy and philosophy. Thank you very much for including me in this project.
Thank you. She wasn't on my original list, but I see that Diane BETZOLT has joined us, and so I will introduce her, and if she would like to share a little bit, feel free. But Diane BETZOLT holds degrees in elementary and secondary special education with a concentration in the areas of learning disabilities and social and emotional disorders. She has taught in public and private schools, and for the past 10 years has been the resource specialist at Rochester Montessori School, where she coordinates appropriate instruction between students and guides while also providing support to parents. When asked about her viewpoint on Montessori inclusion, she commented, "As children navigate their way in a Montessori classroom, their learning styles are respected. They are encouraged to build curiosity, confidence, and independence. We look to provide options for students to demonstrate their knowledge in an environment that is nurturing and fosters growth that benefits every learner." Would you like to share, Diane?
Well, I am so blessed to be a part of this book, and it's such a needed book, and just to be a part of all of you. Paul Epstein and myself, when he was head of school at our school, he said we need hands-on materials that can help teachers. And we are seeing it still today, how it's much needed in in classrooms around. I have opportunities to go into various schools to observe or to give direction, and teachers say, what do you do at your school? How can I help my school? And it's hands-on. Our chapter is hands-on materials that teachers can go through and use and identify and help accommodate and provide direction for inclusion for their students. The other part that I see also, I'm a liaison between the public school system. And so if more information is needed, I can just hand them this packet, according to the parents saying so. I can hand them this packet. They don't even have to have me fill out anything else. They say, you've done your diligence. You've done everything possible at your school. And so now we know where to aim. And so that's what our chapter includes.
Great, thank you. Our next author is CATHIE PEROLMAN, and she holds a Master of Education degree and is a certified reading specialist. Following a 36-year teaching career, she currently works as a teacher trainer, supports adult learners, and consults in private, public, and charter schools at the early childhood level. CATHIE firmly believes that with the correct training and support for both children and staff, inclusion can truly work and benefit both the child and their community of learners. Her greatest growth has come from knowing and working with children who learn differently, and from guiding classroom teachers and schools to help foster inclusion. The overarching belief in Montessori education that all children deserve our respect can indeed serve children who learn and develop other than typically.
So, get to be big. So I'm probably the only person in the book who doesn't have a degree in special education, but I kind of came to special education kind of through a grassroots approach. And I found that my heart belonged in special education, and that I was good at it. And I found that children who learned differently were easy for me to work with. And that was how I got started. I wrote a book on sort of the pedagogy of Montessori and special needs, and I have another book through the Montessori Foundation. And then when I was approached about being a part of this book, I was actually approached with an open-ended offer of write anything you wanted. And I immediately knew that I wanted to write the story of a journey of a child and a family, because I found that young teachers, new teachers, always were overwhelmed by what to do. They said, oh, I don't know how to do this. It's too hard. I don't know how to think. And so I felt that if I wrote a story that was the journey of a family, it could give them kind of the step-by-step process that you go through. And so I made up a family that was a conglomeration of many children and families that I had worked with. And I put together the journey of a family and a child. And from the time I met that child, the thoughts that went through my head, and I really wanted to make it the internal struggle that I went through trying to decide what to do, what to say, what to try, what not to try, how I was feeling, and to see how challenging it is when you see a child who you think might be developing other than typically. And my chapter ended up being far longer than was okay, and the cutting it down part was a real challenge. Very honored to be part of the book, and I thank you so much for an opportunity to be part of this journey.
Great, thank you. Our next author is Maria Eva Chaffin with a Master of Science in Education, and she's currently conducting research for her doctorate in organizational leadership in autism and Montessori. She holds master's degrees in exceptional students education and business education, a bachelor's degree in special education, and is AMS credentialed in early childhood. Originally from Venezuela, she has over 20 years of international teaching experience, and it is her life's passion to work with children with special needs. With her background in special needs and her Montessori credentials, she is convinced that the Montessori method is the best way for all children to learn.
Thank you, Maddie, and thank you, everyone. I'm honored to be part of and support of this inclusive Montessori community. I started my career in special needs, and when I found Montessori, I knew this was the perfect solution to an inclusive educational environment. Through my doctoral research, I have found that the benefits of an inclusive environment span not just those with the special needs, but their families and also those without the special needs and the community, the school's cultures, and the way all who are involved with the program view those around that they are different. And I thank you. I'm honored when Anne called me. I was really excited to be part of this book, and especially in the trauma area. And I did this chapter with BRYNN RANGEL, and we were thinking about what was the name of this chapter. I said with her, but Montessori is a safe place for children with trauma, that are going through trauma. And it's a heaven where they can be safe and they can feel themselves. And thank you, Anne, and thank you, Joe, and thank you, everyone, for letting me be part of this team.
Thank you very much. All right, our next author is BRYNN RANGEL, and she's proud to be part of the Montessori community, both as a parent and a professional. She's a board certified and licensed behavior analyst and has been working with individuals with varying exceptionalities, families, schools, and organizations since 2006. She specializes in implementing positive behavior support strategies and behavioral management systems for schools and organizations around the world. BRYNN also holds a master's degree in business administration and was the executive director of a nonprofit school and therapeutic center for children with autism and related exceptionalities. BRYNN's view of Montessori inclusion is that Montessori nurtures the whole child and celebrates each student's unique strengths. Through love, careful observations, and goals that honor the journey of each child, Montessori educators can meet the needs of all learners.
Hi, everyone. And again, congratulations. This is so exciting. I want to thank all of you, everyone, for your contribution to this very important work. I'm honored to be a part of this book and this community, especially as we come together to face the complexities of community and cultural trauma. It's about the individual, but it's also about how events are impacting us as a whole. Montessori inclusion is an opportunity for educators to follow the child and help students with exceptionalities flourish. Meeting the individual social, emotional, and educational needs of each child is the Montessori way. Together, we can invite each child to explore and thrive and grow to create a more inclusive world. So thank you for allowing me to be a part of it. And I'm just really excited where this work goes and the domino effect that it will have in this world. So thank you.
Thank you, BRYNN. All right, our next author is Barbara Thompson, and she holds a PhD in special education and served for 30 years as a faculty member in the early childhood program area in the Department of Special Education at the University of Kansas. Prior to her work as a teacher educator, she was early childhood special education teacher and early childhood program supervisor for 15 years. Barbara is committed to inclusive early childhood education programs that allow young children with and without disabilities to get to know each other and develop positive relationships at this formative period of their lives. As a teacher educator, Barbara's work has been directed at preparing educators to implement learning supports and instructional strategies that facilitate the full membership of young children with significant physical, sensory, intellectual, and health needs in an inclusive early childhood classroom. She believes that Montessori education is uniquely suited to providing high quality and successful inclusive education.
Well, thank you very much. And I want to say hello to everyone. I want to give a special thank you to Anne and Natalie for inviting me to be a part of this amazing project. I must say that I'm one of the few people here, I think, who is not a Montessori trained teacher. And I really knew nothing of Montessori as a child growing up, but I did have an early experience of having an opportunity to work in several centers back in the 50s for children with very significant disabilities. And I made connections with those children that made me understand they were children. They became my friends. And I also had an opportunity to experience at that time what their lives were like and what they were denied. And so that kind of led me into choosing a career to be a teacher who could advocate and work with kids with special needs. And I continued on through into graduate school. Never having heard of Montessori until I got into a seminar in one of my special ed programs. Montessori was brought up, and I was offered the opportunity to present on what Montessori was all about, what that was, what kind of a program that was, who she was. And so I became totally fascinated and respectful and awed by what I was learning. And from that on, wanted to kind of seek that out. But at that point, I was moving into a doctoral degree and became a teacher educator. And fairly early in my program at the University of Kansas in an early childhood methods class, special ed classroom, one of the students in that classroom happened to be named Pam Shanks, who is a co-author with me in this chapter. And I was so excited and thrilled because I saw this as an opportunity to really maybe have an opportunity to visit a high quality Montessori program and learn more and connect with the Montessori world, which is what happened. And from then, a lot of things happened with our work, which are kind of outlined to some extent in the chapter. But I must say that I will have to say too, that I learned that I was absolutely right when I first learned about Montessori, that this was the way to work with children, to accept them, to see who they were. And I couldn't have had a more wonderful opportunity. I think it was fate to meet with Pam, because Pam happens to be one of the most gifted, knowledgeable teachers I have ever met. She is an amazing Montessori teacher. Her classroom was a wonderful, wonderful place for kids to be. And that included my grandchildren, by the way. And she also is an amazing special educator who has just done incredible things with children, with the field. She's influenced the field. So I consider the opportunity to work with her on this chapter to be the perfect way for me to kind of move towards the end of my career. Although I'm thinking, well, I'm not quite 80, maybe I should get into Montessori teacher training. And I've already finished my yoga teacher training, so why not? But at any rate, thank you for the opportunity to be here with you all. I have so much respect and admiration and appreciation for the work you do. And the opportunity to be a part of this amazing book is a real honor for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Barbara. All right, next we get to hear from Pam Shanks, the Master's of Science in Education. She has been involved in both Montessori and special education for her entire teaching career, including over 30 years as the lead guide in an inclusive classroom at Range Free Montessori School. She was involved in several innovative special education projects, including the Circle of Inclusion and the Inclusive Network of Kansas. She is AMS credentialed in early childhood, and Pam's currently serves as the Associate Head of School at Bowman School in Palo Alto, California, where she continues to support Montessori teachers and inclusive education. She firmly believes that Montessori classrooms are a natural fit for all children, no matter their needs or strengths, and she has seen a wide variety of children develop, learn, and thrive together.
Well, thank you to everybody for this opportunity. I was thrilled when Anne contacted me and Natalie about this book. I was thrilled when Joe and Jane agreed to work with us and be the publishers. And I'm a little overwhelmed after following Barbara and listening to that glowing review. I have to say that this is kind of a mutual admiration society, because I wouldn't be the teacher I was without Barbara. She shaped my life in ways that I can't even begin to talk about. I want to also thank several of the Raintree teachers that I know are on the call this evening, who were part of that original Circle of Inclusion program, who believe just as strongly in Montessori for all children, as did the owners of Raintree, Keith and Leanna, who made a lot of this possible. I know that I wouldn't be the teacher today that I am, and wouldn't be the person today without this experience with Barbara and with Raintree. And I do firmly believe that Montessori is the way for all children. It's a way to allow all children to not only learn and thrive and become independent, but also to find joy. Barbara always reminded me that that's really the purpose. We want the children to find joy. And I believe that Montessori is the way for all. So thanks so much.
Thank you so much for sharing. All right, our last but certainly not least, the last author we get to hear from is GAIL Williamson. And GAIL is an executive director and founder of Elizabeth Academy. She is AMS credentialed as an administrator and the mother of 7 children. Her youngest child, Lauren Elizabeth, has Down syndrome and was the inspiration for Elizabeth Academy. GAIL believes Montessori is an essential element of inclusion. She says inclusion means everyone. Montessori is the best basis for inclusion, as it already addresses individualized learning and lessons, multi-age grouping for a sense of community, following scientifically proven planes of development with material and lessons that target academic goals in a multisensorial way. Its greatest hallmark for inclusion's sake, though, is its adaptability, allowing for innovation through the ages of time.
Hey, thank you. I really am honored to be a part of this group right here, and really even just asked to include my story in this book. And I really say it is just my story, because I don't have the background that most of you do. I am so impressed and so blessed by the work that's been done before me, for sure. I just stumbled into this. Honestly, I totally stumbled into this with the birth of my child, with my sweet Lauren. Sorry, I'm gonna cry. But Lauren really opened up my eyes to just a pervasive need. And this Montessori was a surprise to me. I didn't know. I went in with just really not having even hardly a background in education, and realizing that Montessori had to be the vehicle. I was set on finding an education for my child with a disability, but I didn't want it to be just a school for kids with special needs or just Down syndrome. I wanted my daughter to go to a school like everybody else, and there didn't seem to be any other method that would allow for that, that would appeal to all students except Montessori. That, to me, Montessori was a hook. That was the way I was going to get typical kids to come join the class with my kid. And so that's how it started out for us. But that's also not what it's entailed. I mean, there's a lot more to it than that. And I've been blessed, as I said. I think my my greatest talent, or whatever it is, asset that I bring, is being able to find people who are really good. I just know how to kind of put together enough magic to get the good people. And so I've had the pleasure of meeting Anne. I think we started out when you came to Salt Lake City and taught at IMI, the Institute for Montessori Intervention, and I had the privilege of working with the people there at that college to kind of get that going. And I look at all these people here today that came through there. I've had Mandy Furman, I would have to say, and she's on this call, who co-authored with me. She's the one who really knows how to put these structures together. I come up with all these really big ideas, and then I have really great people who actually know what they're doing and put them to practice. And so Mandy's really great. And I also wanted to just kind of introduce someone else. Christy Green is a colleague who just barely joined us in the marketing, because I think that's an important element. If part of the reason why we started Elizabeth Academy was to create a model school that could be replicated. And if it's going to be replicated, it has to actually be a business model that can get into the public schools. And so creating an inclusive Montessori that can fit into the public schools, I think that's what I'm hearing everybody else wanting to do as well. We've needed a good marketer, and Christy was the one. I think she'd been with us for maybe 2 weeks when we were looking to design the cover of this book. There's Christy. There's Christy. So I get to introduce Christy. She is, I just wanted everybody to see her, because she's the one that, helped Joe and Anne and Jane with the design of the cover of this book. So Christy has also been supporting us in recent months. And this is what I wanted to kind of say, as we're moving into a new era with the distance learning. This was a real challenge for us as it was for everybody else. And having the skills that Christy does to support us in technology like we're using right now with the Zoom, Christy was able to take some of that talent she has in the technical graphic arts and work on our website, and again, make things easy for the our students and our population to access the distance learning component and combine that. So I wanted to, that's my little spiel, and I wanted to, turn the rest of the time to Christy just to kind of explain what that looks like, because I do think it's an important element of inclusion and Montessori, to moving forward into the next era of education, is to embrace these kinds of technologies into our practice. So, Christy.
Thank you, Gail. Well, first of all, I'm so happy and excited to be a part of this community and this amazing work that is done in this space. I'm very, really grateful to have been able to rush right into becoming a part of this book and working with all of you on it. I have been in the graphics and marketing field for about 14 years, and I'm really passionate about everything from print to mobile app development. And I'm all about making resources available to parents and empowering them. I'm a mom of 2 daughters. One is considered neurotypical and one is considered more neurodiverse. She has Down syndrome. So I'm too incredibly passionate about ensuring that my children have the most opportunities and resources in the least restrictive environments and the most inclusive environments, because that's where they flourish. I've spent a lot of time working closely with schools, early intervention services, therapy specialists. I've been very, very fortunate to have this perspective as a provider and a parent. I'm very passionate about providing resources that empower parents in raising and teaching all children. And when I worked on the cover of this book, the concept behind it was to try and speak to match the contents which share the benefits of Montessori inclusion for all. And I know that this model works. So yeah, as Gail said, we were really tested during this pandemic, having to find a way to make inclusive Montessori resources and supports easily accessible to parents, because we're usually all about hands-on, and we had to find a way to make that work over the internet. But together with our teachers and under the leadership of Gail, we managed to build this holistic distance learning portal, along with social emotional supports and resources for parents and students, as well as individualized programs and services for each child. So we are excited to continue to grow this portal and share this model, building parent-teacher relationships and empowering parents with the knowledge and support available through Montessori inclusion. So thank you all.
Thanks, Christy.
Yes, thank you so much, Christy. That was a wonderful, unexpected contribution to our conversation. And I know we have several other parents that are with us this evening. So thank you truly from the bottom of my heart for all the amazing work that parents do day in and day out. And I just want to give a final shout out thank you to Maddie. I had this kind of fun idea. We can all clap for Maddie if you go down to your reactions indicator, and you can clap for Maddie. So thank you very much, Maddie. All right, we would love to take a little bit of time to answer questions and to respond to comments from our guests. So I am going to ask Natalie to help with this part. She's been monitoring the chat room, and my apologies, I shifted my laptop. I know I'm looking down on you now, but I needed to be able to take a look at the chat room too from where I had it propped up. But Natalie, could you go ahead and let us know the questions that have come around, and certainly any comments that people would like to share, just put them right into the chat, and Natalie is going to get us going with that.
So far there's only been one question in the chat, and I did answer it, but I'll read it aloud just in case anyone else wanted to know that as well. Margaret asked, where is Elizabeth Academy? And I answered Salt Lake City. So that was an easy answer. Give us some tough ones.
And while we're waiting for any questions, we can also maybe do our giveaway. So if we're having some questions coming, we can go straight to those. Otherwise, we could do our giveaway.
So you're welcome to write any of the questions in the chat, or if you'd like to unmute your mic, you can do that as well. Christy's just noted in the chat that her distance learning portal is available to parents and students from our website, elizabethacademy.com. So if you'd like to learn more about that, that's available in the chat as well.
And if you scroll to the very top of the chat, there's a document that I uploaded, and it's full of resources. It's got the links to purchase the book, and then it's got a bunch of links from some of the authors, and then we've even included a few links to resources for Montessori inclusion from outside of the community. So that's in the chat box at the very top, and you can download that if you're interested. And we are giving away a few copies of the book, and I think the first way we're gonna try to give a book to the youngest person who's here who didn't actually work on the book. So that doesn't mean you, Maddie. You already got a copy. While we're I will definitely repost it. While we're waiting for some questions in the chat box, if there is anyone under 20 in attendance here, would you write in the chat box? And if there's no one under 20, we'll go up to 25 after that. But and Anne, feel free to say a few words while we're waiting for questions.
Yeah, you bet. We actually had a lot of fun trying to find an effective way to do the giveaways during the conversation. So we're hoping that we may find some people who qualify. So I don't know. I don't think so, Joe. I think you have to go to the next age bracket.
Well, why don't we just go ahead? If there's anyone under 25, please put your name in the chat box, and then we'll work from there. And I'm looking for that document. I'm going to upload that again right now. So I'm not seeing anyone.
I'm seeing Gail post under 25, does young at heart count?
Well, Gail, you get as many copies of the book as you want. So, how about, is there anyone under 30?
I do think this maybe speaks to an opportunity that we have to reach out to our younger colleagues. It's wonderful to have so many people with years and years of experience on the call. I love that. But yeah, another opportunity for us.
Well, we're truly blessed to have Maddie here, a bona fide young person with us. Is there anyone in attendance under 35?
Kitty, I love your question. It's great to have Kitty Bravo on from CMS. She's wondering if we require a birth certificate.
No. In fact, at this point, if they're credible, we'll send them a free book. So I will post the link right now in the chat. I know there's some faces here that are under 40. Is there anyone? Oh, Mila. Okay, I believe Mila is our lucky winner of our first giveaway, and well, you know what? I think
it's close enough, Mila.
Yes, and then I think we can. Oh, good. We could go ahead and ask if there's anyone under 40, and maybe we can give them a book too. And feel free to put your information in the chat box, and I will get that from you. You can reach out to me at Montessori Services, and I'll put my information in the chat box in just a second.
Yay, we
Looks like we have two.
We already got
three.
We have three. Yay.
Yay. All right. So Brynn, I know you already got a book. We'll send you another one if you need one. Let's do.
We have more.
Yay.
So we have Gaia. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing your name incorrectly. Gayatri. Tell us how to pronounce your name correctly.
My name is Gayatri.
Gayatri.
And I'm sorry, I think I typed 2 times.
Oh, that's fine.
Sorry, because I'm also very new to the system, actually. So I'm very sorry.
Well, it's wonderful to meet you, and congratulations. We will be sure to send you a book.
I'm in Canada. I'm in Vancouver.
Okay.
Wonderful. Yes, we're gonna do everything we can to get. I think we can give everyone under 40 a book, and I think that's a great thing to do just for the community. But it also, I think there's only like 2 or 3 of us, or 2 or 3 of you, because I'm actually just a hair over 40 myself. But Mom, do you want to try to do the other giveaway, or Ann, do you guys want to figure that one out, or do we?
No, I just wanted to note that I put your links back in the chat. So they should be toward the bottom of the chat there, ordering the ebook if you'd like to pre-order the paperback or to get the bundle. They're all in the chat as well.
Great. And I put my email in the chat box too. So if you are one of our lucky winners today, just that's how you can claim your prize. If you send me an email, I will make sure to get that out to you.
So that would be for Jessica as well.
Okay. Yes, I think if you're under 40 and you've come here today, we're very grateful, and we'll be happy to send you a copy of the book, either an ebook or a print book, where the print book is coming out, and we'll have it ready early July. So Well, if anybody doesn't have a question, I think I probably have a question. I'll just go ahead now. And can you tell us a little bit of maybe some of the touching experiences you had in the classroom, and then maybe if any of the authors want to just offer a little bit about some of their experience. I know I would love to hear from Maria Ava about the upside down child and how you responded to the child who was upside down. I think that was just so compassionate of you. But maybe Anne, you could start out.
Sure. Actually, I think I'd like to take it in a slightly different direction. When I was thinking about what to share with folks and what was in my heart, I realized that as many of you may also have, I have had experiences where I missed the boat. And as I was thinking about that, there was a little bit of sadness that came over me. And I thought that it might be valuable for us to take a moment in the midst of all of our wonderful celebrations. I've loved this. It's just been so uplifting. But I think it's also important for us to just touch base with that part of ourselves where we may not have made the connection that we wish that we could have, and to forgive ourselves and to know that if that did occur, that is likely what has given us that little bit of extra wind beneath our wings to keep going and to find ways to make connections. So, but Brynn, I would love to hear your experience with the upside down child. That would be lovely.
That was actually a really fun student that was in Maria Ava's classroom. And so I'll let her share. We both enjoyed time with him, but it is really good. I don't know, Maria Ava, if she has the photo even to share, because that would be really cool to see while we're talking about it. If not, then it's a really fun story.
I don't think we can hear you, Maria. Let's see.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. That was a child that have over 3 years with me, and it was an amazing experience. He was in the front porch, and they have a bench, and he was upside down on the bench with his head down, his feet up, and the thing was, I'm sure another teacher or someone else will come and say, "Wow, that's dangerous. You have to just sit straight or do something like that." I say, "Wow, can you stay there 1 minute?" And I want that picture. And I took this amazing picture. And then he said, "Miss Maria, from here, the world looks so different. The world is upside down." And oh my goodness, I captured that image and I keep it with me for never. And that was amazing. The way that I stop and just let's enjoy the moment and then say, "Okay, let me show you how to sit down on the bench." And here his version, he's part of that experience being upside down.
Thank you so much, Maria. That was just a lot of fun. Would anyone else like to share a story? I know we have wonderful storytellers who may have another story or incident that they'd like to share about working with a child with special needs. And then we are going to have to say goodbye to each other, but we would certainly like to have at least one more story.
And before we go to another story, I just wanted to note another question. There was someone who wanted to know if this presentation is being recorded. It is, and they wanted to know where they can find it afterward. Joe, are you going to have it posted on Parent Child Press? Is that where it will be located, or how can someone find it?
Yes, yeah, I certainly will. You'll be able to find it on Parent Child Press on Facebook. and probably some of the authors will kind of share it too. And then if you'd like, I'll put my email in the chat box one more time. And if somehow you can't find it, feel free just to send me an email and I will send you a link.
I'm delighted to see Eileen Bierman on. Hello, Eileen. Eileen was one of my very first mentors, and I'm just delighted to reconnect. Do you have a story? I have a feeling that you may have quite a few, but if one comes to mind, we'd love to hear it.
Oh, I probably have many, yes. Nothing's coming right now.
All right.
And I have something I could say really quick.
Okay, and then Eileen, we'll come back to you if you've got.
While you're thinking, I just remembered that I wore a shirt that I thought that I would share with all you as a message on it. And so this is what I would say.
Ben Franklin.
Ben Franklin, okay. And I can't read it because it's backwards for me, but maybe you can read it. And it's, for all the authors, who have written something, which is important. But I think you're actually doing something more important. So anyway, that's not a real story, but that's a message for all of you.
That is great. Thank you very much.
That's good. Yes.
Did you think of a story, Eileen? I don't mean to put you on the spot.
Well, I just remember, I still remember her name. Her name was Teresa. And this is back at Bennett Park. So this is going a long time ago. And I was giving her a lesson for I still remember the addition strip board. And where the red and the red and blue strips have to be in a certain, and she would not do that because look at, this is the color over here. And so this has to go here because it's the reverse, the numerals are one color. And I can still see the table where she was sitting. And she was just not going to, she couldn't do it that way. So I had to be flexible, okay? And we kind of reversed it. So she wasn't really developmentally ready for it, but it was something she asked for. And so I was trying to see what she would do with it, right? And maybe it would surprise me. So yes, that stayed with me all these years.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and it's a wonderful lesson for us that we learn from the kids by watching what they're doing and appreciating their perspective.
Right. Yeah.
Well, I do have one final quotation that I'd like to share with folks, and then Joe, if you would like to end the meeting, I do want to express my gratitude one more time to everyone for joining, and especially to our authors for all their amazing work. So this came across my desk just today. It's a quotation from Coretta Scott King, and she wrote, "The greatness of a community is most accurately measured by the compassionate actions of its members, a heart of grace, and a soul generated by love." And I do believe that that's what you're all contributing. So thank you very much for being part of this very wonderful community.